I spent years building an empire so my daughter would never struggle a single day in her life. But when I finally stood outside the mansion I had purchased in her name, the young woman who opened the front door wore a maid uniform, apologized for keeping me waiting, and looked straight into my eyes without recognizing me. At that moment I realized someone had stolen far more than my money. They had stolen my daughter. My name is Daniel. 20 years ago, I lost contact with my daughter Emily after a painful divorce and an international business expansion forced me overseas. I never stopped supporting her financially. Every birthday, every graduation, every important milestone, I quietly provided for her through a family trust managed by people I believed I could trust. Before returning home permanently, I purchased a beautiful $4.5 million mansion in her name, believing it would become the place where she could finally begin a peaceful and comfortable life. A month after the purchase, I decided to surprise Emily without warning anyone. The mansion looked perfect from the outside, with expensive cars parked in the driveway and luxury decorations visible through the windows. I smiled, believing she was finally enjoying the future I had worked so hard to create. But when the front door opened, my heart stopped. Emily stood before me wearing a plain housekeeping uniform, holding cleaning supplies instead of house keys. She politely greeted me as a visitor and quietly asked if I had an appointment with the owners. She had absolutely no idea that I was her father. Trying to hide my emotions, I gently asked why she was working there. Emily lowered her eyes and explained that the wealthy family living in the mansion had hired her as a live-in maid after promising to help her pay off old debts. She said the property belonged to her aunt and uncle, who had told everyone that her father had abandoned her many years ago and left nothing behind. They convinced her she should be grateful for having a roof over her head. Every word felt like another knife in my chest. Instead of confronting anyone immediately, I calmly walked back to my car and called my lawyer. Within hours, my legal team arrived with property records, trust documents, financial statements, and security experts. We quietly discovered that Emily and uncle had forged signatures, manipulated trust paperwork, intercepted my letters, and transferred ownership rights through fraudulent legal filings. They had spent years enjoying the fortune that was always meant for my daughter, while convincing her she deserved nothing more than a servant's room. The following morning, the entire scheme collapsed. Investigators entered the mansion with court orders while my lawyer presented undeniable evidence. The fraudulent owners were escorted outside as neighbors gathered in disbelief. Hidden documents, fake contracts, and financial records exposed years of deception. Emily watched everything unfold with tears in her eyes as she slowly realized that every cruel lie she had been told was falling apart before her. When the house finally became quiet, I walked toward Emily with the family photo I had carried in my wallet for 2 decades. She stared at the picture, then at my face, before breaking down in tears. She whispered that she remembered the same photograph from her childhood but had been told it belonged to strangers. We embraced for the first time in many years, both realizing that greed had stolen precious time that could never be replaced. Months later, Emily transformed the mansion into a place filled with warmth instead of deception. She created scholarships for young people who had experienced family betrayal and rebuilt her confidence one day at a time. The relatives who had stolen her inheritance faced serious legal consequences and were ordered to repay millions in damages. Looking back, I realized justice was never about revenge. It was about restoring the truth, protecting family, and proving that no amount of lies can erase the bond between a parent and a child. The greatest inheritance is not money, it is the truth. Those who built their luxury on deception lost everything in a single day, while a daughter who believed she had nothing finally discovered she had always been deeply loved. Karma may arrive quietly, but when it does, it never knocks twice.